President also expressed concerns that South Africa could experience its own Arab Spring. Mbeki says unemployment, poverty, corruption and lawlessness could trigger the anger of South Africans. Now, for reaction to what he said, we're now joined by political analyst Professor Sandile Swana. Prof, thank you for your time and good morning to you. Your reaction to the former president's statements?
Thank you so much, Tumi. The issue here is that this statement that President Thabo Mbeki made is old. He made this statement at Fort Hare when he was about 70 years old, that the country is in a mindless drift. And he made many warnings, and even before the 2019 election, he made a pronouncement that the ANC and the ANC government do not have a plan, an economic plan for the development of South Africa. And he's made that statement repeatedly and joined by other eminent scholars in South Africa and eminent leaders as well. So when he says this and is joined in that statement by Mapaila as well, Solly Mapaila, it is clear that the country is drifting into lawlessness, into the depths of economic depression, if you want to call it that. It's a disaster right now. The insurrection of last year, by the way, was orchestrated by the leaders of the ANC themselves in their factional battles. So, it could flourish simply because there is lawless, number one, and number two, there are so many unemployed people who are ready to loot anything that is lootable.
Yeah. With that being said, is it fair for the former president to only make these statements because he's also an active member of the ANC? Isn't there a change that could be driven by himself and other leaders within the ANC to see what he's talking about being overturned, or are his hands tied due to internal squabbles within the ANC?
Well, whatever he thought was a good idea got him fired from the presidency in the first place. And he was recalled and told that he was useless. And at the time, partly he was trying to curtail the criminal element within the African National Congress. And the criminal element in the African National Congress is resurgent even now, because people who are suspected of very serious crimes are already expressing ambitions of becoming the next president of the ANC and the next president of South Africa. Even the current president himself, Cyril Ramaphosa, is heavily implicated in financial mismanagement at his farm in Palapala. He's already implicated in Marikana through the courts. So there is a lot that is wrong. So all that he can do now is to give intellectual input in an otherwise, in a boat that is already sinking in any event.
Yeah, and he also mentioned, during the memorial service, Prof, or rather he made a reference to ANC members, accusing one another of corruption, pointing fingers at one another. What do you think it would take, for the ANC, its own leadership, its members, to clean up before we can even expect anything from the party that has to do with impacting the people positively?
So Thabo Mbeki mentioned that from 2017, the ANC decided to embark under the leadership of Cyril Ramaphosa on this renewal program. That term of office is coming to an end, and they can't even start a conference on time. It takes them 2 days just to work through the credentials. They don't know who's a member, who's not a member. They don't know which is a valid branch, which is not a valid branch. He also mentioned Mangaung, where we know that the criminal element has gotten the upper hand over a very long time in running the metro of Mangaung. And the ANC, even the presidency, has intervened there with no help. There's no solved anything. The crisis is continuing. So the truthful matter here is that the problems of the ANC can only be solved by the voters themselves, by voting the ANC out of power, so that the crooks, the various careerists and opportunists who are in the ANC will have nothing to eat there and they will leave.
I want to quote, the former president. He quoted the current president, Cyril Ramaphosa. He delivered a State of the Nation address, and he had said back in February that in 100 days there must be comprehensive social compact to address these matters, and nothing has happened so far. Absolutely nothing. Is there political will from President Cyril Ramaphosa? Yes, you've mentioned, some of the allegations that he faces. I know he's been subpoenaed right now, but the public protector to give his testimony, the Phala farm, so many allegations that we've also seen at the Zondo Commission. But just on the basis of the promises that the president has made so far to the people of South Africa, does he himself, as the head of the ANC, have any political will?
He may have a political will, I do not know, but we can only judge by what a person does. He said he's going to have a plan within 100 days, which brings together all the major stakeholders in South Africa. He hasn't done it. So we have to accept that Cyril Ramaphosa, as we have publicly said before, doesn't have the competency to lead this country. He is not qualified to lead this country, just on a technical basis, because the things that need to be produced by him, he cannot produce them, and we say he cannot produce them because he has not produced them. So for us to try and look for excuses here, political will or the RET forces or the other thing and the other thing, he could have put, he says, here it is. Here it is, even if it is not adopted, but here it is. It's nowhere. So he has not produced it, so he cannot produce it.
Prof, I appreciate your time this morning. Political analyst, Professor Sandile Swana, thank you so much for making time for us this morning. With that being said,